Cheers! Welcome to Movie Bitches. Happy Halloween! Woo! Oh my gosh, you are really just frosting my cookies tonight.
Double frosting. We gotta get all that frosting up in here.
It's cookie time. It's cookie time.
Will you stop?
Stop!
And
well,
you,
I'm obviously a mouse. Duh.
You dress for the occasion.
I dress for, you know, I don't like Halloween. I'm sorry, guys.
It is one of the things we differ greatly on.
Yeah, that's really true.
Because I love Halloween. It is, in fact, my favorite holiday.
I love that. I just, yeah, I hate trying to figure out a costume.
I don't like Thanksgiving, so we're even.
Oh. I like the food at Thanksgiving.
I do not.
Fair.
Anyway.
So tonight we have a very special episode for Halloween, Retro Review episode 52, a special request by our Patreon, Lady Catherine de Berg. I don't know, I said it almost more like Halloween-y, right? It was like...
Yeah, it was like Monster Mash. Ooh. Now, I would put her in the pantheon of monster villains.
Lady Catherine de Berg?
Yes, Wolfman, Frankenstein, Lady Catherine de Berg, representing society and norms and judgment. Yes.
Sure.
I would.
Well, I mean, so speaking of society, norms, and judgment,
right.
We are tonight reviewing Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Nailed it!
Yes!
Freddy's Revenge.
First things first, shout out to our wine sponsor, Wink. Go to trywink.com/moviebitches. You get $22 off your first month of wine. Woo! Second things second, make sure to subscribe. Click that button, turn on the little bell notifications, share, follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
I would do it, but I'll mess up my...
Yeah, no, don't do it. Don't mess it up.
It's a Leaning Tower of Pisa up in here.
Max, look. It's the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Third things third, thank you to our Patreon supporters. $5 a month more gets you early access. $10 gets you access to our viewing parties. And $100 gets you to pick a movie.
This is a very special episode requested by Sam, one of our fabulous patrons. A movie that both of us had not seen. I will say,
no. Freddy
Krueger is a blind spot. Blind spot?
A blind spot.
I've had too many cookies. So yes, Freddy Krueger is a blind spot. I can't.
It's a blind spot for me too, you know?
It's a real blind spot. In my movie knowledge, in my horror knowledge, I'm aware of him.
Sure.
I think I've seen all of the first one. And I know the basic rules. We'll get into the rules. Okay. You don't care, but the whole time while watching this, I was like, I feel like this is not the Freddy Krueger that pop culture told me about. I have questions. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, good. This is not the Freddy Krueger that pop culture has taught me about. I'll explain that as we go.
Okay, so, great.
I think I've seen, oh, shoot. Oh, she's angry. Hold on. I think I've seen the first one all the way through. Johnny Depp is there. Oh. He gets eaten by his bed and blood everywhere.
Oh, no.
There's long arms along a hall, spooky things, such. But we are reviewing Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, the famously... Yeah. It's a weird one. It's famously homoerotic, I guess, in the genre of horror, right? There's not that much of this in horror movies. But not in a fun way. It was not a sleepaway camp. Oh my God, this homoeroticism is off the charts. I'm very excited about it. I mean,
there was a shorts baseball scene.
There was some moments, don't get me wrong. But on a whole, I was like, this makes me sad. This movie makes me sad. Just... across the board, the female characters were there to be helpful to men. I mean, there was not much happening for me, I'll be honest.
Well, I will say this. For me, I think this movie is less homoerotic and more homophobic.
Yes. It didn't know what it was doing. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I was reading about it. The screenwriter added in the homoerotic, or the homosexual tones.
Sure. Yes.
Let's say coded within. The director claims to have no knowledge of that. Like, he apparently read the script and went, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Leather bar. He wanders to a leather bar. Perfectly normal for a 17-year-old high schooler. Yeah, makes sense. Didn't see it. So there was no one at the helm telling the movie what it was trying to say about it. So you're just sort of left with like, this is odd.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're telling me, movie.
Well, so here's my big question, because I have not seen Nightmare on Elm Street. First off, PSA, this is the type of horror movie that I do not care for.
Yeah, yes.
Like, the only type of horror movie that I like worse than these is like Saw, Jeepers Creepers, that kind of shit. You know, The Hills Have Eyes. No thank you, ma'am. Absolutely not.
I think if you went back and watched Jeepers Creepers, you would not put it in the same category as Saw, but
maybe.
But I hear you and I see you, and I'm glad for it. It's great.
So here's my question, because there was like a vague reference to some sort of, idea in the journal that Freddy feeds off of your fear. It was giving me vibes of It.
Actually, when you think about it, Freddy Krueger is very It. He can kind of transform into anything. I mean, he's still like Freddy, but like his arms get really long or his other things happen. He can... He
makes flames come.
And I think some of it is the more scared you are, the more he's excited about it. Or aroused, perhaps. I'm not quite sure. But the main thing that was different is, in the first one, and I think in the subsequent films, I'm not sure because I haven't seen them, the whole thing with Freddy is he can only kill you and hurt you when you're asleep. Oh. And they threw that out the window in this movie. And I was really confused the whole time because I was like, wait a minute. I thought the whole thing was like, don't go to sleep. It's going to be spooky scary. And they're all trying to stay up. And then they kind of... like one of them drifts off in class, like he does in this movie, and he almost had me, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so they're trying to fight against their insomnia, and that's even scarier. And then you start seeing things because you're so delirious, and if you're awake, you're safe. And so that's what was really weird for me in this movie, because I kept trying to be like, are they in the dream world? No, they are not, in fact, in the dream world. What's happening?
It became very hard at a certain point for me to tell what was dream world and what was not. It was like, oh, they're dreaming. Oh, no, he's not dreaming anymore. This is just real life, apparently.
Well, and apparently, we'll get to the end. I mean, like the luau pool party. I mean, I have thoughts. Apparently, that scene, even on set, the cast and crew were like, this is absurd. This is what? This isn't Freddy. Like, and then Freddy crashed a pool party and started murdering people. It's like the opposite of what the point of Freddy Krueger is. And apparently Wes Craven was very, very upset about it. He did the first one. And maybe other ones, subsequent other ones. So anyway, but yes, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. We start with Dream World sequence on the bus.
Yes. Yeah. To hell.
On the bus to hell. I mean.
Is that a movie? I just feel like that's a good title.
School Bus to Hell?
Yeah.
What's the plot of School Bus to Hell?
I don't know. But I just got really excited. This movie starts and it's this old-timey school bus coming down a street. And I was like, ooh, it's like Halloween Town.
Got so excited.
And then, unfortunately, Debbie Reynolds did not show up and it was nothing.
Debbie Reynolds did not show up. There was a severe lack of witches in this movie, I felt.
Sure.
Yeah, they're in the school bus. Robert Englund, who is the actor who plays Freddy, is driving the bus. Like, he's out of Freddy makeup, just being a bus driver. And, oh no, he's not stopping. And now they're in hell and they're teetering on a... I mean, I did think this was kind of cool. Freddy's coming towards... The bus is like teetering on a... It's like the end of Outrageous Fortune, and she's like leaping from pillar to pillar. like teetering on there. They're trying to back away from him, but the more they back away from him, the bus tips. And I was like, that's kind of engaging.
Yeah.
But then I didn't really care.
Well, it didn't really go anywhere, and then he wakes up in night sweats and
so sweaty. I mean, I do want to talk about how often he's changing his sheets. If it's happening, I just feel like the bed is a cesspool of. I mean, he is waking up like he just jumped out of a shower. Worse, like he didn't. Like he jumped out of a shower and did not towel off.
Yeah.
And every night, and he had the same disgusting duvet cover, this like brown stripy thing, and the way he was sleeping with it wrapped around his crotch, I was uninterested in him.
Well, they had to show his naked body, but they couldn't show all of it. I mean, they had a lot of shots of his tighty whities, though. I will say that. He
was often naked.
Yes.
Except for underwear. I mean, he was often very scantily clad.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a different sort of. This movie, in a way, is very against the norm in that the male is the subject of gaze. The male is the one being tormented by the evil serial killer person. So, like, in some ways, it's not progressive, but like, oh, interesting take on that. But then it decided to do what it did.
Yeah, so here's my thing. Is basically, for me, I came up with two different ways of reading this movie. One is Freddy represents the monster that is homosexuality.
Yes.
And even though he tries to suppress it, and he thinks that the love of this woman will save him from it, in the end, still couldn't stop it from happening, right?
Well,
it's like a nightmarish...
In the end, her kiss does cure him of a la, like, Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. Her kiss cures him of the Freddy curse.
Well, sure, but then at the end, he's still on the school bus to hell.
They have to have a whoa, you know.
Right. But so that's what I'm saying.
I agree. Yes.
It cures him. You know, it's like this movie, on one hand, could be seen as just basically like a horrific conversion therapy allegory, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. You know, gone wrong, right? Oh, it didn't take. I don't know what to tell you, lady. You can't save me. Or
I'm going to hell on a school bus with Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah.
We're going.
If only. More charitably, the read that I took was that because they say, oh, he feeds off of your fear and nightmares or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fine. Let's do that and say it's the fear of being gay that then he latches onto. And because society and everything else is so strongly against it, then that fear takes hold and he can never hold it off.
I would say the movie didn't think about it that hard, and that was my problem with it.
Oh, no, it definitely didn't. That was all stuff that I read into 1,000 times more than what is presented on screen.
100%. And that, I think, is my biggest problem with the movie, is that it doesn't take a stand one way or the other. Even if it was just, like, horribly homophobic, upsetting, I wouldn't enjoy it. But I was like, well, at least you knew what movie you were making.
Sure.
Albeit, you know, unappealing to me, but like at least I know what you were trying to say. That was my big problem. I was just like, I guess it's sort of this and sort of that and sure. But the weird thing is the director did 2 other horror movies that I like. One that I really like and one that's okay. One's called Alone in the Dark. It's much more aware of itself. It's cheesy. It's like campy and kind of referencing things. And then he did this great low budget sci-fi horror movie called The Hidden with Kyle MacLachlan. And that I remember thoroughly enjoying. So I think this was a, hey, what's his name, Trevorrow, you made a small movie, we'll give you the franchise. What was that? They gave him Jurassic Park. What was that? He like made that Safety Not Guaranteed movie at Sundance. And then they were like, here, we'll give you a Jurassic Park movie. Oh, you're talking recently.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about this guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. Oh, I did a low budget horror movie that made some money and was kind of fun. We'll give him a franchise. You know, it's like, oh no. And apparently if he's, you know, telling, or if he's being truthful or whatever, he did not read between the lines.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest problem with it. And also the acting. I mean, we'll get into it. I really did not care for this lead at all. I found him to be unappealing and uncharismatic, and I was not into it.
Oh, I agree. It ebbed and flowed for me. Sometimes, I mean, maybe not charismatic ever, for me, maybe it was more so just sometimes I was like, is he cute? Maybe he's kind of cute. I don't know. Never really landed on saying yes.
Oh, it's kind of like the plot of this movie. I think... no.
No. But I think also, while multiple times I said, oh, the writing really thought that the actors could carry those lines and they can't. And like, you know, that happened multiple times. Both him and her. They wanted her to be young Meryl Streep. She wasn't. Apparently
she was cast because she looked like Meryl Streep.
I think that was pretty clear.
I mean, apparently. Yeah, she looks like a young Meryl Streep. I mean, but also her character literally gave me nothing.
But also I think that the directing and the choices for them were bad. Like, I don't think the directorial, like the direction that Jesse was given was helpful.
It seemed like they didn't know what they were doing because, like, if you're going to take a franchise that was very popular and had a really specific set of rules and be like, just gonna go ahead and throw that out the window, seems like a problem.
But also, I'm assuming that the first one had a plot?
I mean, I think so. Yeah, it's like there's a main girl who lives in that house and Freddy's haunting her. I forget why. It's been a minute. Do all houses have boiler rooms? I just had a quick question about that. Is that a thing?
Well, I think that
like Home Alone style?
Yeah, like Home Alone, right? The basement, maybe.
The basement
oh my God.
where the boiler
with
is.
With the furnaces. Yeah.
Where the furnace is. A boiler room to me is much more like in the basement of a school or something.
Or like a hotel, right? Like, ooh, the boiler room at the Titanic.
Shining.
I don't know.
The Shining, yeah.
Or yeah, exactly. Like, right? Well, I don't know. Yeah. Boiler room in my own basement where there's like a little box this big that lights the flame.
It just seemed weird. I was like, huh.
Kill for me. For me, the biggest problem, well, there's so many problems with this movie, for me. One, like you said, they have no idea what the movie is actually trying to say. So while there are undertones of nods to homosexuality, I don't think it's homoeroticism, I don't think it's necessarily homophobia, but it's somewhere in between.
It's very in between. I was like, ooh, a locker room scene that they did absolutely nothing with.
Nothing with. Yeah, where was like Covenant? I needed more of the Covenant in here. Of like,
now if Freddie Harlan had directed this.
Because like the Covenant actually leans into the homoeroticism and like the undertones of like, oh, he's joining this group of boys, huh?
Oh, they're going to splue their powers at each other. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So the other problem, the biggest problem for me is that there's no fucking plot in this movie.
Oh, absolutely not. Or whatever plot there is unexplained. So this is my thing that I wish they had done. So it starts, Jesse, new guy in town, just moved into the main girl from the first one's
haunted house.
Ooh, spooky house. And he's having nightmares, night terrors, night sweats. He's sleepwalking, all of the above. And
should we get him help? Should we take him to a doctor?
Are you hearing me? That boy's in trouble.
No, he's not in trouble. What that boy needs is a good goddamn kick in the butt. That's what he needs.
The dad, I mean, we can talk about his dad's character for... I didn't even hate him. I just wanted him to leave. I was like, I don't even have feelings towards you. I would just like you to not be here. It's a no for me. And it's the first day of school or something, early on in the semester, and he meets not Meryl Streep outside, and they drive to school together. And we find out that they're not dating and that she is just like, he's my ride to school. Weird.
The new neighbor kid is giving me a ride to school.
The brand new neighbor kid. We'll talk about the keyless entry. I have questions. Vis-a-vis why it mattered. It never came up again.
Don't you ever use a key?
Why?
Well, somebody could steal your car, couldn't they?
The deadly dinosaur.
I guess in that she knew how to start the car. She didn't have to find a key to the car. But who cares, right? That's the least of the plot holes in this movie.
Honestly, I was like, they spent a lot of time setting this up for absolutely no reason. So what I would have done is, sure, he could still be new in school, but I definitely think they already should have been dating because their relationship was really weird to me. She was obsessed with him, and he is closeted or something, shy.
If even?
You know, he doesn't seem to know. And she spends the whole movie, what can I do for you, Jesse? I researched all of this for you, even though you didn't ask me to. I believe in you, Jesse. She was just like Mother Nature, just like shit on me. It was like the giving tree, you know, like, here, take my branches, take my leaves, Jesse, take all of it. Keep giving and giving.
Would you
and
say
like,
it was
nothing
like,
going on.
Mother?
Mother, I'm becoming disappointed with the mundane realities of life again.
So I was like not into her. I was really into her friend, her like horny, fabulously dressed friend.
So you getting any yet, Lise? Yeah, he's my ride to school, okay?
She's like, let's have a party, Ma.
Yeah.
I was way more interested in what that was going on with her.
Sure.
Everyone seemed boring. Like,
Yeah.
there was no fun music. Like, oh, party scene, here's this. The most excited I got was when we were in Brady's bedroom.
Yeah.
And he had a Stray Cats poster. And I was like, fuck yeah, listening to Brian Setzer. Yeah, I like you. Oh, he died.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Shirtlessly, though.
He did die shirtlessly. As it should be. Well, I also have a question about their relationship.
They bonded over push-ups?
Were they push-ups?
Oh my God, thank you.
Another
The
question
worst
I have.
form. I was like, how many push-ups are we led to believe that they've done?
I don't think they were supposed to be doing push-ups. I think they were planking.
Oh.
They never did a push-up. It was always this weird, very bad for your low back, real bowed, and they're just standing there. Now, either they were supposed to be doing push-ups and they were like pretending, or the coach was like, go plank.
I was just like, this is bad. You're going to hurt yourselves. I mean, it didn't matter because he dies, but, you know. Maybe
if he had done some more core work, he could have broken down that door that was mysteriously locked.
Unopenable. Yeah, well, it was Freddy that locked it.
I have a real question. So it starts, we meet Grady and Jesse. They're playing baseball. Simultaneously, the girls are playing archery on the same field. I thought that was weird. I was like, well, okay, sure. What? In the vicinity. I was worried. You gotta be the straight arrows. I just feel like that wouldn't fly these days. And they seem to be antagonists. Grady seems to be jock football asshole that's gonna be his foil throughout the movie. That's gonna be the person saying, fuck you, you suck, Jesse. Bleh. They get in a tussle and you think, oh, okay, this is
Jockstrap.
And he pulls.
I was shocked.
He pulls down his pants like they're not friends. This scene is indicating to me that they are in fact enemies. Yeah. And then they're in the locker room and it's like, oh, hey, Jesse, we're friends. And then they're just hanging out at lunch. Yep. I didn't understand this at all. I was like, what's going on? Yeah. Is Grady also like closeted and he sees something in him?
Hey, Grady, you remember your dreams? Only the wet ones.
No talking.
I think there's not that much to read into is the issue. I think the more I tried to like find deeper meaning, the more I was like, this is just dumb. No. Yeah,
yeah. Well, so there are a few things that are interesting in that like only men die.
I mean, yes, except at the party, I feel like there's a few innocent bystanders, but yes.
I don't think so.
Maybe not, maybe not.
I mean, maybe there's like a girl here that gets, boiled in the pool.
It's very skewed towards men dying. Yes.
Yeah, men dying, and obviously this weird story of the PE teacher that's gay and goes to leather bars.
I mean, now this I found to be very intriguing.
Guy gets his rocks off like this. Hangs around queer S&M joints downtown.
Grady is basically like, Coach is a leather daddy. In one of his midnight stupors, Jesse wanders into what was my favorite scene. I mean, I was like, can we hang out at this club, please? What's happening? Everyone had awesome outfits. Everyone was having a good time. It was like, yeah, I went to the other side of town where people are interesting. And then he orders a beer, and I was like, oh, surely they're going to card him for, oh, no, guess not. Whatever. Serves him a beer in a very short glass. Weird choices. Like inhuman choices.
Here's a rocks glass with a bottle of beer. I was like, okay.
These were the things that would keep me up at night, not Freddy, where I was just like, what? You decided that. That was a choice you decided on. huh? So disturbing as that is, Coach is then like, dressed as a leather daddy, drags him back to school. No, sir. Excuse me, sir. Take me home. Thank you. Says, you know, oh, go take a shower. No, I won't be doing that, sir.
I mean, he was particularly sweaty, but if we're like...
The whole movie, I feel like if his parents weren't going to take him to a doctor for seemingly being on drugs or whatever they thought was happening to him, take him to a doctor for these night sweats. This is a problem.
Yeah.
The mom is obviously changing his sheets. She must know.
She keeps being like, oh, we got to check the air conditioning in that room. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Ken, I wish you'd call somebody and have the air conditioning.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that air conditioning, Mom. Just needs a shot of Freon.
When she's like, we have to fix the air conditioning, Dad. I think they did call each other mother and father, and I didn't care for it one bit.
Yes, agreed. I had the same reaction.
Hated it. And the dad goes, there's nothing wrong with the AC. It just needs more Freon. I was like, that is a issue. That's a problem with the AC then, sir. That is something that needs to be fixed then.
Sure.
I hated the dad character. I was like, but not even in like a, oh, you're evil kind of way. Just in a like, why are you an idiot? You're just dumb.
Gotta be a rational explanation. I mean, animals just don't explode into flames for no reason, do they?
That's right.
I think for me, there was part of the like homo whatever tones.
The Homotones.
The Homotones.
It sounds like a great a cappella group.
Oh my god, yes. Ooh, I love that. Ooh, we're the Homotones. Anyway, there's something there of like a dad that's constantly like, you gotta be a man, you gotta clean your room. There was lots of like, ways things needed to be done, and his son didn't, fall in the lines of that.
I mean, I got what it was but I was just, it was done so kind of lackadaisically. Like, you can't leave even though you clearly made plans with Meryl Streep. Go clean your room right now.
Right now.
And then she just showed up with, seemingly he had not called to say,
oh,
I can't come. My dad says I have to clean my room. Shows up and says, sorry, I told your mom that we were supposed to hang out, so she let me into the house. Should I help you unpack your bedroom? No, what's happening? You're a weirdo.
I told her you invited me over. I guess maybe I should have called.
Who
does that? She discovered the journal somehow. I don't know.
But like, we're not friends, really. Right. We're not dating. You haven't even unpacked your room. That's how short of a time you've been in town. Hi, I invited myself over. Can we unpack? No.
I mean, I was just cleaning my room.
I know. I figured you might like some help.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where does this jock itch cream go? Weird.
I didn't care for anyone. I kind of liked Grady, I'll be honest. He
was
listening to the stray cats. He was cute.
I'm grounded.
How come?
I think my grandmother down a flight of stairs.
I can't come to the party. Why are you grounded? I threw my grandma down the stairs. What's going on?
Right?
Is that a joke? Is that not a joke? If the only character I even remotely am interested in is joking about throwing his grandma down the stairs, I feel like maybe there's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. It's frustrating because I do feel like there's something there, but...
I think that's where it gets you. I think that's why it was so frustrating, because I kept trying to solve the mystery that was, I just don't get this movie. Yeah. And I think there isn't much to get. And it's interesting in certain ways because it's just so different, or they're talking about things that just like absolutely weren't talked about. But they're not talking about it in any kind of eloquent way that makes it interesting.
Even in a real way. They're not actually, like, you have to read so deeply into anything in this movie.
I mean, except the coach's death.
Well,
we stopped talking about this scene, and I mean, okay, so he's like, go take a shower, and Freddy comes. Now, it would have made sense.
Well, all of the balls attack him, death by balls. I mean, I was like, oh, is that a gay, right? Yeah.
The subtlety. I mean, I guess because he's coach. I did keep recognizing him, and I was like, I know that guy. He's from something. What is he from? He's like, in 5 seconds of Stand By Me, he's like, the dad. He's Will Wheaton's dad for like, I watched that movie a lot.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton's dad. And he's like, he's all mean. Anyway, I knew him from something.
So, quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more Homotones.
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 So So yes, the coach has been attacked by balls and jump ropes. He's tied up. This was the best scene, like vis-a-vis horror movie, scary interestingness.
Kind of Hello Mary Lou vibes, I thought.
Yes. Well, the whole time I was like, okay, why does Hello Mary Lou work and this, like, for me, absolutely doesn't? Because they're kind of, you know, doing in the same pond-ish or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's because the actors are compelling in Mary Lou. Whether or not they know what they're doing a lot of it. You know, it's like a lot is happening. And
but also, Avaryl, there's a plot in Hello Mary Lou.
There's also a plot. Yes, nothing happened. So now this would make sense if Jesse had fallen asleep in the shower, perhaps. And that's, like, Freddy can only come out of him and attack when he's asleep. But that's not the rule either. He seems to just, I mean, he kind of blacks out sometimes. The rules aren't there, and that's really an issue, particularly with, like, a villain who it's all about the rules. That's the whole point of the first movie. I think there's a song, in fact, about the rules and how to escape Freddy. Like, honestly,
well, because she was, the little sister was jump roping, or
that's
there
from
was
the first one.
Right.
So, yes, so the coach gets tied up, spread him, his pants get ripped off, you see his tush.
Yeah.
I was like, oh!
And then the towels start smacking him.
This felt very like the writer was like working through some past traumas that perhaps happened to him in a locker room.
Yeah. It was also weird in that, like, we had never actually seen the coach be gay.
I mean, other than him being at that leather bar.
But, like, that was such a weird dream sequence for me already that I didn't know if it was actually real or not as it was.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like all of a sudden,
when I was like,
all of a sudden now this was real and he somehow made it to the school and murdered the coach. It was like, when did this all happen?
I did love that the next day they get to school, everyone's milling around. Oh, did you hear the coach is dead or whatever? And I was like, I wanted the Heathers.
Yo, man, where have you been? Saturday got wasted last night. Oh my God.
Did you hear? School's canceled today because Kurt and Ram killed themselves in a repressed homosexual suicide pact. No way.
Did you hear? God. You know, like, suicide pact. You know, like I wanted that tone. Be like, yes.
Bottle of Evian.
Bottle of Evian. Like that movie knows what it's saying.
Yes.
And it's, you know, actually saying something. So yeah, that was a shocker. Can we talk about the little sister? She was not, I mean, I don't mean to be disparaging to child actors, but she was not good.
No, she also didn't really do much, but she was not good.
I mean, when the birds are, I mean, this scene, who cared about this? But like the birds are like freaking out and attacking.
Yep.
And she just clearly is trying not to laugh the whole time. She's like, oh, I'm so scared. I mean, she didn't need to be there, really, I guess. The only reason she was there was so he could feel bad about almost killing her.
Right. That his homosexuality could somehow influence his younger sister, and he didn't want to put her in danger. I don't know. I
guess, yes, that is on some level what they're saying. I just, like, couldn't engage with, like, the deeper meaning because I didn't think it was actually there.
Because it's not really. Like, you have to really read so much into everything. And for me, again, the biggest problem with this movie, at first when I saw it, I was like, ooh, 85 minutes, nice and tight. Now I'm like, they needed to add 40 more minutes of movie to this because nothing happens.
Well, yeah, so they find, Meryl Streep invites herself over and they find, a dusty journal on the shelf that was obvious.
Right?
This house has been on the market for 5 years, whatever it was. I was like...
Right? No realtor was like, I should remove this.
And she immediately is like, oh, I've got it. You're being possessed by a creepy guy named Freddy. I believe all of this immediately. You didn't even try to convince me. I just immediately inferred all of this and said, yes, Jesse, we're going to be on this journey together no matter what. I'm going to be your beard.
Jesse, I think you should eat something.
I'm not hungry.
I wish you would talk to me. You know, we can figure it out. We can figure it out together.
There is nothing to figure out.
When they went to that mill, and she was just like, yes, here is the mill where Freddy killed 20 children.
Fred Krueger kidnapped 20 kids and brought them here and killed them. Headline. I feel like that's like not something a town forgets.
that you have to research, right? If a serial killer killed 20 children in a small town, that town's never the same. Everybody knows about it. There's not like, oh yeah, I did a little Googling on, I don't even know what the town was called, Smallport. No, that was Ghost Shark.
Oh my God, it was. No, exactly. It's like, oh, we're moving in. Oh, there was a serial killer in this town that murdered 20 people and he lived in the house that we were buying? That's like
20 children. She says 20 children. I just, like, that was like a sentence that so easily came out of her mouth that I was worried about the safety of everyone.
Fred Krueger kidnapped 20 kids and brought them here and killed them.
Sometimes I'm here for, like, I want people to get on board with, like I don't like plots where it's like, you're crazy, there's no ghost, I'm going to be a foil the whole movie until I finally see the ghost, and then I'm going to believe you. Like, usually I'm like, no, just get on board. But she was so on board immediately for everything without any, she was like, and this is now my thesis project. I don't care about school. I don't care about anything else except this journal. I'm researching the serial killer for you. And I was like, I don't know, girl. I feel like get a life.
Do you remember in the diary when Nancy said she kept finding herself in a boiler room? Here.
What is all this?
I did some reading on our friend Fred Krueger.
But also what was weird or frustrating about that to me, beyond the things that we've just said, is that, again, then it didn't provide an opportunity for them to learn more. It wasn't like, this is going to be so stupid, but it wasn't like Hocus Pocus, where it's like, ooh, there's a haunting from the past in this town, in the house that, you know, and now we have to learn about it and figure out how to escape it, right?
Right.
Instead, this was just like, well, then you're just going to have these fever dreams and murder people until all of a sudden my love's kiss will maybe temporarily, you know, exorcise him from your body, except then it seems like it didn't work anyway. Like, the movie ended and I was just like, well, what the fuck was the point of this?
I can't disagree. There was no rules. It was willy-nilly. It was very just...
But there was also no background. There was no motivation for Freddy. Like, is he just a serial killer?
Well, that was the other thing. So, a serial killer of Homotones. My understanding, now I've only seen the first one and now this one. My understanding from living in the pop culture world is that the main draw to these movies is Robert Englund's performance as Freddy. He's so charismatic. He's always joking around and doing this. And he's like mischievous and he's gleefully evil and like, isn't that fun? And so in this one, I think he's in the movie for 13 minutes total. He's barely there. So like the main draw for the charisma of the movie is absent for most of the film, which is a bummer. It just it doesn't feel like a Freddy Krueger movie. Like if you took out all of the scenes with Freddy and just sort of like had it inserted shots of him, of Jesse being evil, like it would just be like a weird horror movie where he was dreaming about killing people.
And then did. Yeah. I mean, there was the one scene, I guess, you telling me that about Freddy, there was the one scene in the mirror where he's really just like gleefully laughing. But I was like, this is stupid.
There was moments towards the end where you were like, oh, like he's having fun being evil. This is at least somewhat engaging.
You are all my children now.
I still didn't know his motivation though. Like, why is he haunting this boy? Because he's gay?
The house.
But we never even see that. Is it because the house?
Because the house. Because remember, he like wanders, he's like in a sleepwalk. He like wanders outside and sees a creepy weirdo. And in my mind, I was like, is he awake or is he asleep? Because then he just goes back into the house and is like, that was weird. And I was like, call the police, sir. There's a creepy weirdo burning things in your backyard. What's happening? And then he goes down into the basement and also sees creepy again. So I just never knew when he was awake and when he was asleep. And that's kind of a problem. Yeah. Like in the classroom, he falls asleep. Right. And it seems like Grady's making fun of him. Again, I really didn't understand what was happening
with the snake. With the snake. But then the snake was real?
Thank you. That was the weirdest scene. I was like, oh, so obviously Freddy's the snake and it'll be... And then it was just like, the boa constrictor got out again. What? What's going on with this school? Archery amongst crowds, snakes wandering around, coaches getting slapped to death. But there was some weird choices that felt like choices.
Okay.
At the beginning, they're eating Fu Manchus. And like, while, yes, it's absolutely racist. That was like a strong choice that someone designed that box and they decided that that was what the daughter was going to be eating. And so she could get the claws. Oh, some production design, some choices were made.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't good, but I was like more interested in that box art than what was happening. And that chalkboard in the back that always said that somebody was calling.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to go somewhere.
Zach called.
Oh, who's Zach? Maybe he was interesting.
Again, I just was really waiting for more to happen, for us to get to know him more, to see him, you know, unsure if he had a crush on Grady, or, you know, or the girl, right? Ooh, I think I just want to be like Grady. You know, like he's a jock on the sports team. I'll sign up for sports, and then, ooh, I like seeing him in the locker room. I don't know.
I don't remember the last time I saw a movie where no characters were motivated by anything. I was constantly like, why are you making this choice? Nothing that has been told to me would explain this at all whatsoever. I'm very confused. Like, no one had motivation.
No.
Period.
Except, I guess, the friend was motivated by teenage horniness. That's the most I could...
Oh, like her friend who seemed fab, who didn't boil in the pool. I was really surprised when they were like, oh my God, there's clearly this water is boiling, but we should get out of here. We're fine. They weren't even like red or anything. I didn't know what that was about. I was really... That pool party. I mean, I'm worried about not Meryl Streep because her parents... Okay, so like... She was like, last time I had a party, my dad insisted on playing Benny Goodman the whole time. And he was like, we're going to be at your party until we go to
we're
sleep.
barbecuing. Oh, it's time to go to bed. Okay. But then it was like, oh, immediately they went to bed, and now we're just going to have a rager.
Yeah!
Party time!
As if they wouldn't hear it. I was confused by that. And then they're like, oh, kids. What's the point then? Just let them have a fucking party. What's happening? It was like they weren't humans. I was really confused. No one was motivated by anything. I found it very confusing.
Except, again, all of the couples were motivated by teenage horniness. They were so crazy horny at that party.
That's just standard for,
I guess,
like horror movies. Except, again, in this, I mean, to like kind of subvert it slightly, I guess, usually the killer's motivation is like, you were making out, I'm going to murder you, or whatever. That wasn't really the case in this. It was his gay thoughts that he was running from, I guess.
Perhaps. Again, like, it never came in. I will say this, I did get gay vibes from the guy that was like, hey, man, let's just take a step back. Just tell us what you want. And then he was like...
Right? It's like, why isn't he our lead? I found him to be engaging. He seems heroic. He stood up to this crazy, burned man with a knife fingers. He's trying to save some people. He seems like a well-rounded young man into whatever's happening.
And then he got murdered. Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, so the whole time, I also was like really recognizing Grady. I was like, I know him from something. He's in something I watched a million times. So he's the jerky guy in Weird Science that's hanging out with Robert Downey Jr. the whole time. Okay. And he's in this movie no one's seen called Shag. That's great, and everyone should watch it. It's fabulous. So anyway, I was excited about that because I was like, oh, I should go rewatch Shag. It's great.
Love it.
I shouldn't go rewatch Weird Science. I feel like it doesn't hold up.
Okay, great. I won't bother to watch it then.
There's a lot of like moments in a lot of John Hughes movies particularly where you're like, oh no. I forgot about that scene. I'll just go watch Home Alone again. No. But did you find it really confusing? This threw me off. Okay, so like, again, because we know nothing about any of the characters, they have no motivation and like everyone's just sort of going through the motions. When he goes over to Grady's and is like, don't let me fall asleep, I'm gonna murder someone. And you're like, okay, weird request, bro, but okay, sure. I was
he's like, but you can't fall asleep. And I was like, what? That's a lot to ask of this. Like, you just came over unannounced. You did not ask for this.
And as far as I know, I'm not sure you guys are friends, but apparently you are. And so he falls asleep and he's going into a rage and I'm going to kill you. And Grady's trying to get out. We've only heard him referred to as Grady the whole movie. Let me out, Dad, let me out. Oh my gosh. And then the dad comes up, who's also the dad in Ferris Bueller, by the way. And he goes,
Run! Run!
And I was like, who's that? What's going on? Oh, everyone's been calling him Grady, which is his last name. But like, the movie didn't even bother to tell me that.
Run! Like Wolverine. Those are strong little.
Now, if we found out in a comic or some sort of text that was uncovered that Freddy's claws were made of adamantium and he was part of the X-Men universe, yes.
Weird,
please?
but yes, sure.
Yes, please. Interested. I mean, Hugh Jackman will show up.
Oh my God.
In Nightmare on Elm Street 12.
7?
I'm not sure. There's an awful lot of them. I will say, I thought that some of the special effects looked really cool. Like when Freddy was literally like chest bursting out of him in Grady's room. I was like, oh, that looks really actually pretty cool. Like there was a few shots of things like that where I was like, oh yeah, I'm into this. And and that is terrifying, like the idea that someone is haunting you and he literally like comes out of you. Like that's scary. I was like, oh, that's cool. I thought of a positive.
I love that.
Did they know he was there? Because I was like, surely he's in prison at the end of this film.
Right?
Because he murdered Grady. I mean, that's what happened.
And the coach and all of the people at that party.
Well, sure, but like Grady's murder, like he's the only one that was locked in that room with him.
I guess that's fair. Right.
Like there's hard evidence against him murdering Grady.
I'm scared, Grady. Something is trying to get inside my body.
Yeah, and she's female and she's waiting for you in the cabana. And you want to sleep with me.
Oh, wait, we forgot to talk about when he's cleaning up his room and he's like dancing around.
Oh, and then he like ejaculates his little popper.
Yes, touch me.
He like bumps his butt up against the dresser.
Yeah, he did do that.
This is gay stuff. It's either that or I don't know, what year did Risky Business come out? Maybe it was like, he's a cool guy. He likes to dance. He didn't seem
but
like
it wasn't played
it.
off as like cool.
It seemed like it was against his will. Like maybe Freddy was making him dance. He did not seem interested in it.
I mean, he's no Kevin Bacon. I don't know.
That was so weird. Oh yeah, they're like reading her sexy diary entries together, and I was like, okay, what's Glenn's slim body?
His body is slim and smooth, and I know I shouldn't watch him, but that part of me that wants him forces me to.
Oh no, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I guess. They both bonded over how slim Glenn's body was. I don't know.
Yeah, he was like, ooh, tell me more.
It's like the Spago scene.
Yep.
You think that there's so much subtext until you realize there is no subtext. It's just text. Yep. It's just homotones and text.
Exactly. There's enough of a blank slate there that you could project stuff onto it.
Yes.
But for the most part, it's really not telling you anything.
I just wrote, Lisa, get a life. Oh, her name was Lisa.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Well, so I was like researching about this movie a little bit, and there's like a documentary about it called Scream Queen. But there was lots of talk of him screaming and that it was like a girl and that was like a big deal. I mean, I thought we could talk about it. I don't really know why. I guess because, haha, he's gay? Was that what he was saying? Like he's a girl or... I don't know. Was that just his scream? Did he scream high-pitched? I didn't know what that was telling me.
I didn't know, and I didn't know personally, because I hadn't seen the original, if that was supposedly something from like the nightmareness of it all, where it was like, ooh.
I like that.
It elicits like this like...
Or like Freddy screams, like that's like his signature scream.
Sure.
I mean, that I like. That would be great. But no, I don't think that was the case. I think it's the Spago scene. I think this whole movie is the Spago scene. Oh, something deeper must be happening. Surely I can't be. Similarly, I would say but different, like to Wild Wild West, where you're like, one day I'm gonna crack it. I'm gonna get through this one day, and it'll make sense. It's gonna come out even one day. But it just doesn't. It never will. We can't hold on to that dream that Wild Wild West will one day make sense. We can't do it anymore. I have to let it go. Well, so then we didn't really talk about the pool house scene, make out.
Oh, where they like, he keeps tonguing in between her.
Tonguing her rib cage, her breastbone. Not the boobs, but the bone in between. I didn't find it appealing.
Was it because he was gay?
We can't ask any more questions, honestly.
No.
I mean, there's no answers to them. But we can still talk a little bit more about what's happening. So yes, they're making out. She's really into it. He's like, oh my God, my gay thoughts. I think. And
I guess.
Freddie.
Right.
Freddie equals my boner. I guess? I'm not sure.
Or the lack of boner? Or the...
Oh, yeah. Oh.
The desire to think about sexual things with men.
But then he's like, I have to go. And he goes over to Grady's house. Can I sleep here? So, you know, it's muddled. I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we think that Jesse knows how to use a button? Because it was just always hanging out. And I was like,
it's
cool.
True. It's because he was so hot. And also because he had to be shirtless and naked. Like, that's what I don't understand. It was like, there was almost an intentional gaze of like, ooh, he's shirtless and...
Almost.
But it wasn't quite.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a gaze, but the gaze didn't seem to be enjoying what it was looking at.
No, and it didn't even seem to know why it was looking.
Now maybe we're getting into the psyche of the filmmakers even. So he kills Grady. Oh my God, I've killed another person. He runs out the window and escapes, goes back to the pool party, covered in blood.
Just, you know.
Runs into Lisa. Oh my God, Jesse, what's wrong? Bitch, he's covered in blood. What are you doing? Girl, get a life.
Jesse, my God, what happened?
I killed him. I killed him. I'm so scared.
Jesse, what are you talking about?
Don't come within 10 feet of this guy. What are you doing? Anyway,
she was acting like she was his mom. Like, it's my son. I'll defend him till my dying day, even if he kills me in the process.
Right.
Like, it was very that, and I just didn't understand that relationship because they.
It also was as if she had loved him for a very long time, and they clearly had just met not very long ago. So that was confusing too.
You know, maybe if it was the same actress from the first one and she found herself attracted to Freddy Krueger in some sick way because she's fucked up from the trauma of the first movie, and then she senses Freddy within him and is like, I gotta get those nails. Now that's somewhat interesting.
That's fucked up, but interesting. Sure.
I just feel like horror movies never address the trauma of the aftermath. It's always just like, we made it.
Megala who?
Come on, you're okay. Megala who?
I guess that's no fun.
To end the movie and be like, oh, okay, we can go back to our lives now. You know what? I ended up and be like, wow, they're right. That is really emotionally scarring, and I might never be the same.
Is over. It was kind of like the end of what was that movie? The Summer of '84. Was that with the people that did Turbo Kid?
Oh, yeah.
That movie ended in a way that was like, oof, that's how it would really end.
It's so weird. There was a movie at Toronto this year that was called Summer of '84, I'm pretty sure, but in French. And it was like a gay romance story in France.
Summer of '84 was like all the kids on their bikes and they've got walkie-talkies and they think there's a killer in town. It was like Rear Window and no one believes them. And
I remember that.
So go watch Summer of '84 if you.
Yeah, sure.
If that'd be a good Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Not too scary, you know.
Yeah.
All right, because then it turns into Carrie. Freddy Krueger shows up and he's like telekinesising things, you know, at people and he's in the room, the house with her, and everyone's just staring through the window like, oh, bitch, that crazy burn victim with a claw hand is gonna murder you. I mean, we should.
I had to assume that they were looking at Jesse covered in blood.
Ooh. Now that's interesting. I don't know if that's what is true.
Right.
Either way, honestly, though, if there's a crazy burn victim with claw hand attacking a woman, or a young man covered in blood clearly attacking a woman.
Either way, you break down that door.
They stood by and watched through a glass door. Huh, that sucks. Sorry, Lisa.
Right?
Although we did see how that turned out for that young man who tried to do the right thing.
That's true.
I'm here to help you. Help yourself, fucker!
I love, too, when Freddy was, like, crashing the luau, and he was like, "Arr! I'm Freddy Krueger," or whatever was happening. And, "Ah!" All of the extras looked mildly bored. Like, it's cold. It's probably 3 a.m. I'm in a bathing suit. I've been in a bathing suit for 8 hours. Like, oh no, Freddy Krueger. Like, if you like zoom in on some of the extras, I was like, oh no. Are we done? Can I go? Can I have my robe? That scene by the luau pool, I mean, it was so dumb. And he's just like, nah. And then he like runs through that fence and leaves.
Right. I was so confused by that too, of like, well, so did they all see this? Is this real? Was it all?
Because they weren't asleep. They really fucked up with the whole asleep versus not asleep thing. Because then it was just like, oh, he's just actualized. He's using Jesse's body to regain his
corporality.
He's trying to be a corporeal being again.
Which is very Hello, Mary Lou, by the way.
And that would be interesting, but the movie does not tell us that at all. No. Freddy has no motivation, as well as everyone else.
No, he just says, "Kill for me." I'm like, okay, but who? Why? It says Freddy's revenge. Revenge against who? The gym teacher?
I think he just likes to kill. That is a good question. Who is he revenging?
Thank you.
Because he killed everyone. He killed everyone in the first movie except for the one girl who made it, and she is not in this film. So he's not like, I'm gonna get you, Heather Van Camp, I want to say is her name.
Wow.
I'm gonna get you. She's not in it. So I'm gonna get you, whoever's in this house. This is my house. Was it Freddy's house? I don't think it was. I think he was living in the boiler room. I'm not sure. Comment below. Tell me if I've missed something. But honestly, I think this movie is flawed. He runs off, and Lisa decides to, by herself, drive to the creepy warehouse.
The power plant that was shut down.
Where the 20 children were murdered by
And then this
Freddy.
is like a series of like, this reminded me of the scene in It that you described, where it was like, oh no, I'm falling from the, oh no, it's not real, I'm okay. Oh no, there's terrifying giant dogs with baby faces.
See, now that was another thing that I was like, what's this? This was a choice that I find compelling. There's guard dogs with baby faces on them, but then nothing really happens with that.
They just disappear. There's a creepy rat that's eaten by a giant creepy rat, and then she just turns away and then it's gone. And it's like, because these things aren't real because it's
the ROUSs. They're back. Andrew, you're the giant rat. Ah!
Oh, because it's funny. It goes in and out between like, oh yes, Shelley Long, and like you're right. It's very Moira.
It's very Moira. I'm feeling her presence. This is also, I'm realizing, very the Crowaning.
The Crowaning, it totally is. Yeah. Oh my God. So now you have to do. First things first. Shout out to our wine sponsor, Wink. If you like fruit wine as much as I do.
Fruit wine as much as I do.
Yes.
Hopland. Was it Herb Hopland? Herb Hertlinger.
Bert Herngleicher.
Right, so yeah, it was, oh my God, but she's not asleep. Does he now have power in the real world? It doesn't matter. I'm going to stop asking questions, except I do have one more question. Okay, so then we see Freddy finally, it's him. They're on some sort of...
Catwalk.
And he was wearing dress shoes. And I just thought, does Freddy Krueger always wear dress shoes? I feel like boots would be more appropriate. It just looked dumb. And maybe that's something that is part of his character that I'm unaware of. But I just went, oh no, it's Freddy. Dress shoes. And then I was lost. The movie lost me. I went down a rabbit hole of like, where they would fall off easily. They were like loafers, and I just feel like a combat boot would be more effective. It's Freddy.
Well, especially someone who works at like a power plant. Yeah.
It seemed dangerous. Yeah, I don't know. So that was a question I had. I think it's my last one, I think. This was the most sort of like engaged I was, I guess is what I'd say. When it suddenly turned and I was like, is she gonna fucking kiss Freddy Krueger right now? Like I was like, okay, where's this going? She's that
desperate for it.
I'm interested. Tell me more. Oh, it was just that it was Sleeping Beauty's kiss and she saved him from...
But was it even? It seemed like she kissed him and then it was like, well, that was a waste.
I would have liked some sort of quip from Freddy indicating perhaps what he felt about that experience.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what transpired between their mouths, but I was like, is she going to fucking kiss Freddy Krueger right now? Holy shit.
And then she did.
That girl did everything for him. Do we think they're going to make it? I mean, they did go on a bus to hell together.
Or did they? I honestly don't know. What was the end of the movie mean? Was it just another dream? Was it,
Great party, Lisa.
That was a really great party. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks a lot.
Great party, Lisa.
Party.
Yeah, only 7 people died. Nah.
Right.
Oh no, now we're on the bus to hell. Ah! Great party, Lisa.
You know what that reminds me of is City Slickers?
Good party.
Great party.
Yeah, and then they drive away on the bus to hell. Apparently, en route to hell, you have to go through Joshua Tree.
Right?
They got there real fast. I was like, oh, I see that they've made it to Joshua Tree again. Great. Okay. That was weird, right?
Yes.
Not as weird as the dress shoes, I'll be honest. That one really threw me. So yes, I mean, I would say there was a lot to talk about with this film, but I did not personally enjoy the ride. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I hope that was what you wanted. I hope this is what you wanted when you asked us to do it. Yeah.
An in-depth discussion about Freddy's fashion and such. I wrote down when she was going to kiss Freddy, I was like, go for it, girl. He's more compelling than Jesse.
Yikes.
Oh my gosh. Wait, we didn't talk about actually the scariest thing in the movie. These shorts that she was wearing that had camel toe and loose shorts. They were a nightmare. There was a front and a back wedgie, and yet they were the most voluminous shorts I've ever seen. Terrifying. Truly terrifying.
You achieved the impossible. She has camel toe in big shorts.
So, cheers to Lisa getting a life. That's truly what I wanted out of the end of this movie. I said, Lisa,
get a life,
girl. Cheers.
Cheers to Homotones.
To Homotones.